Formed in 1972, the Average White Band is regarded as one of the best soul and funk bands in the history of music. Best known for their timeless instrumental mega hit, Pick Up the Pieces, and ahead of their Detroit performance at the Music Hall, band member Alan Gorrie joins us live this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. It's lovely to be here.
Okay, I have to tell you, my husband is very jealous of me right now. He is a huge fan. And I have to ask this question, though. So formed in 1972, did you think back then, like, oh, in 50 years, we're still going to be touring?
Did anyone think 50 years? I mean, that's ridiculous. In any job in the world, any career, 50 years is a stretch into the future for any of our third eyes back then.
And so what do you think what do you think gave you your longevity?
I think probably the quality. You know, we took the mantra from our idols growing up in Scotland on a diet of Motown and Stevie and the Four Tops, the Temps, everybody. They were the lifeblood of our soul music generation in Scotland. And I think the fact that we took as our instrumental our pilot for the instrumental side of the band was James Brown and all of that stuff. So we kind of married that with the great vocals of Motown and put it together with six guys from Scotland who were trying their luck and finally got a stroke of that, I would say.
And I'm sure you've told this story a million times, but the story of how your band got its name is just timeless. Like, if you could just tell it again, how could you not enjoy hearing this story?
Well, a very good friend of ours, a Scotsman, of course, who was in the British Foreign Service, had been posted to places like Bangkok and somewhere in Africa. I can't quite remember. And, we said, Rob, what's it like in these places? And for example, he would say, oh, it's way too hot for the average white man. And so this phrase just became part of our common parlance, like you would say the average Joe. So this phrase, the average white man, when we were floundering around looking for a name for the band before one of the first festivals we had to do, one of our people said, why don't you just call yourselves the Average White Band? And we're going like, could you? When we really weren't playing what we would call average white music of the day. We weren't rock and roll people from England. We were funk guys from Scotland. So it was tongue-in-cheek and it was irreverent, but somehow or other it got the job done.
It's still a delightful story. So do you remember the first time you came to Detroit? Like, what did you think when you finally got here, the home of Motown?
Well, it was cold. It was December of 1973. It was one of our very first ever tour dates in the United States. It was with B.B. King at an old place called the Scottish Rite. Of all things, here's this band from Scotland playing in the Scottish Rite in Detroit on a cold, sort of slushy, snowy day. And we went down incredibly well playing before B.B. King. And I think Detroit and one or two other places after that showed us that we could probably cut it in the United States with a heavily African-American audience.
And you did, and you still do. So tell us about your performance coming up at the Music Hall.
Well, it's bittersweet because it's going to be our final performance in Detroit or anywhere in the United States now. This is the funk finale, as we call it, our farewell tour. So we're really just going to try our very best to get through as much of our musical history and recordings on Saturday night as we possibly can and just see how many rabbits we can pull out of the hat. Okay,
so Saturday night, 8 p.m., the final funk tour. So there's going to be tears, right?
Yeah, there'll be some tears, I'm afraid.
Oh, no. Well, it's going to be a great show.
We'll reserve the tears. We'll reserve the tears when we leave the stage.
Okay, that sounds good. Saturday night, 8 o'clock, at the Music Hall for the Center for the Performing Arts. Looking forward to another great show. And thank you for joining us.
So are we looking forward.